This is big breaking news. A state of emergency has just been declared and the National Guard have been activated. This is happening right now in the United States of America. Okay. Also, nationwide alerts are being issued overseas in NATO countries where it is severe maximum security alerts. Maximum security alerts are being issued to people's phones in NATO countries overseas in Europe right now as well. At the same time, a state of emergency was just declared in the US and the Guard has been activated and they are under, quote, protective operations, and funding has been freed up for these operations. All right, so they are preparing for something big to happen in the United States. And we had intel that the head of New York City, the mayor of New York, came out and said that there could be attacks on New York City. All right. And now we have another state just declared a state of emergency as well. So you need to be getting away from these mega cities. These major cities are going to be at risk. We are traveling right now, and on our route, we are avoiding all of these mega cities, all these major cities. We don't even want to drive through them. All right. They're miserable to drive through. But we also do not want to be in these cities in case something big happens, something big pops off, because we need to be thinking about long term, okay? There is going to potentially be a big event inside the US, and there is going to be a major clampdown. And in the aftermath of that clampdown, they are going to potentially pass new laws that are Patriot Act-esque laws, that are surveillance laws and take away your freedom and spy on American citizens. We had the FBI just came out last week, and they were saying that one of their main targets going into the future are literally people that voted for President Trump last election. That's who they are saying they are going after, and that's one of their main targets. And Newsweek ran a whole article on this. And after this is all settled and after something big potentially happens in the US, that's what we're going to see. All right, we're going to see new legislation passed, and then it's going to be turned on the American people. And it goes both ways. All right, these things, it's whoever is in power ends up exploiting these laws and using these laws against each other, all right, and against the American people mostly. So these things are happening right now. They're ramping up, and we need to be on alert, and especially in the aftermath, to not panic and to not demand that the government declares martial law in these big cities where it happens. And also, we cannot be demanding our governments to pass these extreme laws that are going to limit our freedom. That's what this is going to come down to. And we could see this even be used as the excuse to implement central banking, digital currencies, and track your bank account, track everything that you are buying and selling, to make sure that you are not supporting the wrong people. All right, look at what happened in Canada. People that were donating to truckers that were protesting, all right, Canadian citizens that were truck drivers, and they were protesting and people were donating to them. They had their bank accounts locked, just the people that were donating, much less the truckers or the organizations collecting it. But the people that were donating, even if they just donated $20 to some of these organizations, the Canadian government was coming in and locking their bank account for months. And it turns into a massive litigation battle as well. And then you have your entire bank account, all your money is tied up in this as well. This is devastating. And this is what they want to bring to the American people potentially in the aftermath of all this. So we just need to be thinking of that, the future as well, because it's easy to be reactionary in the present, but we have to look at the past. So let's dive into what's going on here, guys, because this is huge news and we could see more states do this. So a state of emergency was just declared in the state of Florida, and they also just sent out a maximum security alert in a NATO country overseas. We'll get to that in just a second as well. But a state of emergency was just declared in Florida by the governor. This just happened, and he's saying this is in relation to what's going on overseas with Israel and Hamas and in Palestine. All right, he's saying this is related, and he's saying they are activating the National Guard. They haven't deployed them, but they are activating them and getting them ready. And the state of Florida has released a ton of funding for, quote, protective operations. And part of these operations is to protect Florida from one of these major attacks, all right? Because they're saying the U.S. is anticipating one of these attacks, and the state of Florida is especially going to be ready for it, all right? That's what they're saying. And they're saying that there's been a lot of activity. There's been a lot of people out in the streets, all right? And right now, there's also rioting going on and clashes between police and protesters. This is happening all over the U.S. where these major demonstrations are happening, but especially it's getting really bad over in Europe and places like Italy. There are clashes, all right? People are protesting, and riot police are out here on the streets, and everyone's just punching each other and clashing with each other. So this could be the thing that they use to bring societal unrest and social chaos to our mega cities, all right? Because we've already been shipping in these unstable populations to these cities and selling these people on a fake dream and a fake reality of what America actually is. And then when they get here, they're mad, they're angry, right? And then they don't know why certain people get funding and other people don't. And that's why Florida is saying that they are declaring a state of emergency, is to be better prepared for these things in case they start popping off and boiling over. And they are already sending police units to certain communities and certain schools that they believe are in more danger. All right, so that's what's happening in Florida. A state of emergency was just declared. They have the National Guard ready, and they actually are sending planes to Israel as well, because they're saying that there are 20,000 Americans there, and they are offering free planes because they're saying the plane tickets are booked up, and they're offering free planes from the state of Florida to help get people out of this area, right? So that's also something that is part of this executive order as well, right? So they're getting ready for something big. You need to be getting ready too. You need to be getting away from these big cities. You need to have your food pantry stocked up, all right? Because look at what's happening over there. They cut off the power, they cut off the food, they cut off the water, they cut off the resources. Now they cut off the internet as well. They're about to cut off the internet tonight over in Gaza and Palestine. They're about to cut it off. So let's get into what's going on as well. One of the biggest NATO countries just sent out a maximum security emergency alert. Just got sent out to people's phones and was just declared in France as well. France just declared this because they have been having multiple attacks throughout the past couple days in France and domestic situations there. So they have sent out this maximum security alert there. And it's just a coincidence that all this stuff pops off, all these things happen, and right after we have this emergency alert test, right after it's sent to everyone's phone, this is what happens. All right, now they send these tests out in France. All right, now they're giving all these warnings. There's a state of emergency declared in Florida. They are getting us ready for something big, and these wars are funded from both sides of the aisle by the U.S. The U.S. funds both of these countries. They fund Iran, they fund Hezbollah, they fund Israel, and we also give funds to Palestine itself as well. So we fund both sides, and Gaza, right? We fund both sides, and this is something that we should be pushing for peace, right? We should be pushing for peace, because this could be our country next Both sides. This could be any one of our country could be Israel, our country could be Palestine next. Our country could be either one. That's the way I look at it. And there's people that don't deserve this on both sides, and we should be pushing for peace, because think about the war crimes that our country has committed. Think about our leaders, some of the atrocities they've committed. Millions of kids have lost their lives at the hands of the U.S. military in some of these wars, all right, over the past couple decades. Insane. And some of it was based off lies, was based off complete lies. And what if the American people were held to that standard because our leaders did this stuff? Because, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't want to be held to that standard. I realize that America is wrong on a lot of things too. And I don't want to be the next one that's blamed for what America does wrong, all right? Because I didn't do that. That wasn't me doing it. And I don't support that, all right? And there's people that feel like that all throughout the world, all right? So we should be pushing for peace, and that should be everyone's main goal and prerogative, because we don't want this to escalate, all right? This is exactly what the globalists want, what the WEF wants, what the NWO wants. They want a massive world war to cause a depopulation event, to get rid of both sides. They want to get rid of everyone, all right? They just want to pit people against each other, divide and conquer. This is the oldest trick in the book. This is what always happens, and it's foolproof. It's just human nature to fall into a divide and conquer mindset, all right? But we have to realize that we're next. Once this group's divided and conquered, the next group is divided and conquered. And then soon enough, there's no groups left, and we are being divided and conquered right now in our own country. And we could see very extreme situations in our own country, all right? And that's what people are getting prepared for. And that's what you need to be getting prepared for too, because they want this and they're pushing this. And this really feels like a tide shift. Everyone can just feel the quickening, the acceleration here, and it's coming soon, right? Something big is coming soon, like a blackout, a cyber attack, some kind of big physical domestic attack where they can reset everything, where they have enough support where it's like, we have to do this, we have to pass this law, we have to pass the beast system, we have to do it. We have to implement this tracking and tracing, these biometrics. It's for safety, all right? They already do this in these very high crime cities like Portland. Some of these gas stations, they have facial recognition just to get into the gas station, all right? Because it's just locked and you're not allowed in because crime is so high. And it's based on biometric data, all right? You are face scanned, and if you are in the database to not be let in, you don't get let in, all right? So look for these things. They're going to start bringing it up soon. Next couple weeks, next month. You're going to hear lawmakers pushing more draconian, Orwellian laws for the American people to protect us, to keep us safe, all right? And at the same time, they're going to take away our laws, and they don't want us to have protection, have the tools to protect ourselves and protect our family. You know what I'm talking about, and you know how it is on here. But every American, everyone, man and woman, that can legally and lawfully defend themselves should be defending themselves and protecting their home and protecting their family, because it's going to start in these big cities and then it's going to spread out too, all right? And look at what happened just a few years ago. All these big cities were burning, all right? These big cities were burning. Minneapolis, all these big cities were getting burnt to the ground, all right? And we could see something very similar pop off, but even worse. And it will be used, all right? That's why I'm saying they fund both sides. This is the point. They fund both groups that don't like each other. They fund both sides to cause a conflict and to put a stake in the ground and to make it this big thing where we have to do something. All right. So please, guys, push for peace, pray for peace. That is what we want. All right. We do not want any innocent lives anywhere to be gone. And we don't want to be pawns for these warmongers and these war bankers. I was talking about it a couple videos ago. All right. Lindsey Graham was pushing World War III on Fox News like a maniac. And at the same time, all these representatives, all these senators, the week before, a couple days before this stuff popped off, they were trading war stocks, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, all these different war contractors. They were trading them like crazy and buying a ton of their stocks just a few days before all this stuff popped off. Major coincidence. And it's part of this. All right. We don't want to be pawns in their banker war. All right. That's what they think we are. They think we are their pawns on the chessboard. This is all a game, and they will sacrifice pawns on any side to further their agenda, to further their narrative. All right. That's the game here, and we don't want to be a part of it. And we want peace. All right. Because we're the next pawn. Once this pawn falls, once this pawn's gone, there's only so many pawns left until America is the last one. And once America falls, there's no reinforcements, there's no airdrops, there's nobody coming to give us $500 billion in aid and print us out of this disaster and to give us all this free stuff and all this. That's not going to happen. It's going to be over in America. It's going to collapse here once it does, and there's going to be no one to come save us. That's why it's like the biggest giant falls the hardest. All right. We're the biggest giant. We're going to fall really hard when we fall. All right. And the aftermath of it is going to be extremely dystopian. So make sure you are getting your family prepared. Make sure you are getting your family ready, stocked up, and make sure you are protected. Make sure you have your gas tanks filled, your propane tanks filled. Make sure you're not near these mega cities. This is how you are going to survive what's coming next. And you can survive it, but it's going to just get harder and harder and harder. The herd is going to be thinned the further we go into this stuff. All right. It's already just getting hard. The clampdown's happening economically. Everyone's getting squeezed out. People can barely survive. All right. And the next step is to have it physically, with your movements, with lockdowns, with martial law, with military checkpoints. That's what's coming next. They already talked about military checkpoints in Texas to keep people that are coming across the border inside Texas instead of keeping them out of Texas. They're going to have checkpoints and GPS tracking to keep them in Texas, all right? This stuff's coming. You need to be getting ready. You need to be getting your family prepared. And you need to be praying and pushing for peace. Peace, all right? So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have big blessings for your family. I hope your family's safe and protected. And I hope you guys have a big old blessed day.